Elite athletes at the top of their game, the best of the best over the last 2 decades. Welcome to Blue Ridge 11's newest show, 11 of the last 20. I'm your host, Chad Landers. Thanks for tuning in. For this new series, we are taking a look back at the best athletes from a wide range of sports spanning from football to basketball to softball, baseball, wrestling, and field hockey. Each week, we'll count down the top 11 athletes over the past 20 years, chosen from right here in the Blue Ridge 11 coverage area by a panel of coaches and local media members. Leading off our inaugural show, the top 11 quarterbacks.
Behind the center is the man who calls the plays, the quarterback.
I told you he's much better rolling out.
Wow. Feeling pressure, dumps it in the flat.
Nice
It's caught.
play.
Woody Miller in for the touchdown.
Steffi slips away, and he's going to reach the end zone for a touchdown.
A great quarterback is someone who's a leader, but even more, somebody is the most disciplined player on the team.
To be a top quarterback, you got to really be a student of the game.
I think you need to be tough to be a quarterback, especially at the high school level. You don't always have the right tools in front of you. You don't have the right tools around you. And it's your job to coordinate everything and put out the best package you can.
Number 11, Ephrata's Blake Crowther.
It's Crowther. Oh, look at the move by Crowther, and he goes in for a touchdown.
Is beautiful.
What I remember about Blake is I would have loved to have coached him. He had so much speed
1, 2, 3.
and discipline, and he just was the epitome of an option quarterback. Plus, he could throw the ball, which he was one of the leading passers for Ephrata High School.
He embodied, what you were looking for, a quarterback who could run when he had to, throw when people were open.
Crowther with time, going long, ball is up, and it is
Caught
caught
nice
for the
play.
touchdown.
Very, very nice play and a beautiful throw.
And again, I go back to he was just a real physical football player and someone that would run you over.
Crowther is in for the touchdown.
Blake Crowther was a tough kid. 2-year, two-way starter, and as far as a quarterback is concerned, he would do whatever it would take to get that effort of offense down the field.
Crowther, 3-step drop, going for the end zone for Culp, reaches up, got it, touchdown. What a beautifully thrown ball by Crowther.
Yeah, that was a good throw over the outside shoulder. He's the only one that could get that. Excellent play.
He had a nice balance of running the ball and put up some pretty nice numbers passing the ball as well.
Number 10, Warwick's John Resch.
Pound for pound, he was just as tough a kid as I had ever had.
Resch faked out, they're going to run option left, he's going to keep it, and he gets in the corner for the touchdown.
He probably wasn't as big as a lot of the quarterbacks on the list that we're talking about, but he just had the heart of a lion.
Not huge, not 6'2", 215. Smallish in a good way, but packed a lot of power.
Emotional, vocal leader, and this kid took a pounding, but he never wanted to come out of a ball game. And the longer he stayed in and the longer he hung in there, the better the results it was for Warwick.
He's going to fake, bootleg, somebody's in his face. He gets by him, goes toward the line, spots his receiver, and throws on the run. Oh, that is just gorgeous.
Before the term dual threat was dual threat, he was a good runner, a great thrower. He just understood that when game time came that you're in charge. Nobody can see you sweat. When you're the quarterback, nobody sees you sweat. His demeanor off the field, not happy-go-lucky, but he just has a joy about him. I think that helped a lot in terms of him being a focus as a student athlete and understanding the task at hand.
He had such a will to perform. You could tell he just loved the game, and he was willing to do whatever he had to do for Warwick to win. I love that kid, man. He was great.
Number 9, Cocalico's Brett Janis.
When I think Brett Janis, I think prototypical Cocalico option quarterback. Ran the option.
Janis on the keeper, he's got it and more. He's got it. He is gone. Wow. Boy, 40 yards with a touchdown run.
Knew when to pitch.
Janis passes, and it's caught.
Knew when to keep.
Janis is going to keep it. Cuts inside, stays on his feet. First down.
Could throw it a little bit.
Janis to throw. Looking, firing for the end zone, and it is caught. Touchdown! Oh boy, there you go. There's the arm of Brett Janis, which we don't see very often.
But back in those days, Cocalico was grind it out, veer, and we're going to stick it on the ground.
I think of Brett, and he's a fullback playing quarterback.
This is just get what you can find. Oh man, look at that. He just got himself 3 or 4 extra yards by finding something out of nothing there, Eric.
Part of a program where you don't throw the ball a lot, but boy, he had a zip on his passes. but the fun was watching him run the ball. He wouldn't try and avoid tackles, he'd run through them.
He was a special player and a big physical kid. Brett was always, just a bigger boned kid and strong and physical and just tough. Brett he'd play 48 minutes and he never asked to come off the field, and he just was really, really physical and tough.
Well, it doesn't seem to bother Brett Janis at all.
He could barrel over you. So if he did the pitch or, kept it and faked it and he was gone, whammo. He could pop you, keep going, keep the legs churning and get downfield and make plays.
He just had a nose for the ball. Plus, he was super tough. He led us to championships. His senior year, he rushed for almost 1,500 yards and passed for almost 700 yards. And he was voted Player of the Year in Section 3, and he deserved it.
Number 8. Conestoga Valley's Grant Stoltzfus.
Grant's a kid who got better every year out. I remember him as a sophomore, kind of tall and lanky, and by the time he was a senior, big, strong arm and a pocket presence, could also roll out and throw on the run, and I always admired that about him.
You sit him in the pocket, give him some good wideouts, and he would tear you apart if you weren't careful. I always got the sense that he was an accomplished reader of defenses, that he knew what he was looking for, a good check down guy. Within the offensive scheme that they presented to him, and I think that allowed him to excel.
Grant was part of a perfect scenario for CV that likes to throw the ball a lot. Big kid, tall, strong arm, and again, when you're in that type of offense, it's high risk, high reward, but he paid off the dividends in a big way with a lot of rewards. 63 career touchdown passes.
Touchdown, CV.
The countdown's only just beginning, so stick around because after the break, we look back at quarterbacks numbers 7 through 4. It's all coming up next on 11 of the last 20. Welcome back to 11 of the last 20. Next on our countdown is a Garden Spot quarterback who could run and throw. Check him out. Number 7, Garden Spot's Cameron Roth.
Roth firing downfield, wide open, touchdown Garden Spot.
Cameron could beat you with his arm, he could beat you with his legs, he could beat you with his mind. Again, another smart player. The system that they ran over at Garden Spot really accentuated the quarterback position. He made all the calls, he made all the decisions, and he was just tough to figure out.
He hurt us.
On 2nd and 12, Roth going long for Folk, and he's got it down the sideline inside the 30. Matt Folk is going to go the distance, touchdown. 82 yards on the connection.
A couple times we played him, I just always was amazed by his ability to read in the offense that Garden Spot was running at the time. He made split-second decisions and would make you look bad at times. Was not afraid to take it right up the middle. He hurt us a lot with that. Then he was just a really, really good football player.
5,000-yard passer, 2,000-yard rusher, and not many kids in LL League history have ever done that. Super talented, multi-purpose threat kind of kid.
You couldn't really try to stop the run because he'd kill you with the throwing, and then if you didn't put a body or two on him, he'd beat you with his feet. We had some tough games with Garden Spot in that we couldn't slow down Cameron Roth.
I think what makes him so impressive is that he passed for 1,000 and ran for 1,000 in a single season, which was not done too often throughout the Lancaster Lebanon League. But more importantly, I think that makes it impressive is that he did this during some lean years at Garden Spot. And to put up those types of numbers, that's a job well done.
Number 6, Manheim Central's Jared Moyer.
They got a great one in Jared Moyer, 6'4", and Gary, a quarterback, much like a point guard in basketball, an extension of the coach on the field. This guy is for Mike Williams out there.
Jared had nice physical ability, 6'3", 6'4", and he was a great kid. The key about him, he led us to that 2003 state championship, and in that game, he made what I perceived to be one of the greatest plays in Manheim football history.
Moyer looking. He's got a man open in the corner of the end zone. Didn't see him and throws for the touchdown anyway.
It was 4th down, and we were behind, maybe 3rd or 4th, maybe 4th quarter, and he scrambled and found somebody in the end zone. We scored a touchdown on 4th down with about 10 yards to go. So it was a great play. Had we not made that play, I don't know if we would have won the game. But Jared, again, what you can't take away from him, a great kid, great to coach, and he won that state title and made one of our greatest plays in Manheim history.
Very first thing I thought of was what a physical specimen he was as a football player. He was very glad to run you over as opposed to run around you.
It's going to be Moyer on the keeper, and he's down the sideline. He's got the first down inside the 30-yard line.
Great leadership qualities. You remember him being very tenacious and tough on the field. His running ability was outstanding. You couple that with his ability to throw, and it made him a great quarterback. And not the funny thing, but when you think of Manheim Central quarterbacks, Simon comes to mind, Kagerice, Jeff Smoker. I'm going back a ways, but I think people really need to appreciate what an excellent quarterback Moyer was.
Old school quarterback, pocket kid, but could also run, 1,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher in a senior year. When you're talking the annals of Manheim Central football, he's the kid. He won the state title. He got him to the Snow Bowl, which nobody will ever forget around here in these parts. When I think of Jared Moyer, I think game manager kid, made big plays in the clutch, obviously getting them to the state finals, but just a really smart, heady kid, didn't turn it over, got the ball out to where it needed to go.
Quarterback of the state championship team. I think the thing that stands about Jared was that he had great command of the huddle. I mean, the guys on the offense just respected him. He was the man in charge, and he proved it with that epic game in the snow.
Championship gold medal time for the Manheim Central Barons, their first ever.
Number 5, Manheim Central's Cody Kagerice.
Man, was Cody quick.
Kagerice with a huge hole.
There he goes.
Kagerice in, touchdown Barons. That is the icing on the cake for Cody Kagerice.
He is just amazing.
Cody wasn't that shifty guy, but put him in a game and he could juke almost anybody. He was like a whirling dervish running, He had high knee action, and he was really, really hard to tackle. And so many times he made huge plays. He made something out of nothing.
Kagerice, a great read. Kagerice inside the 20. He's gone.
He rushed for 1,600 yards his senior year, and at the same time passed for 2,300 yards. Sometimes I know looking at the film, you just shake your head to see some of the plays that he made. He was one of our greatest quarterbacks.
Very quiet kid. Wasn't a big media guy, not that he was seeking any attention, but he was quiet. But when the lights popped on and the scoreboard popped on and the game started, he just exploded. He was like a different person out there. 1,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher. That's a very elite club in the LL. Not many kids have done that since 1972. Cody Kagerice is in that club. Love that he was the Maxwell Club Pennsylvania Player of the Year in his senior year.
Cody Kagerice, his 4th rushing touchdown.
When he passed for 2,000, rushed for 1,000. Here's the thing about Cody. I think he's underrated. I think when you think of Manheim Central quarterbacks, you think of Smoker, you think of Simon, you think of Matt Nagy, and Kagerice's name doesn't always come up, and I know I'm missing some kids there, but Kagerice was super talented. Again, took them to section titles, took them to districts, multi-purpose kid.
He's one of the best I've ever seen in Pennsylvania in my 36 years.
Number 4, Warwick's Joey McCracken.
He's a new wave, new age kind of quarterback kid that can do it all.
McCracken across the middle, caught. That is Thatcher Miller in for the touchdown.
Joey McCracken is such a dynamic, dual-threat player.
I saw Joey as a sophomore, and I thought, man, this kid is going to be something special.
He comes across as quiet in the field, but he knows he has the capability to do the things he does. He's like just short of 5,000 yards, and if you think about it, 1 full season last year, half a season as a sophomore. You look at what he throws for per game, the kid can spin the football.
Big arm, can sit back in the pocket and pick out guys. If he gets flushed, no nerves, can make plays on his feet.
And now rolling left, fires, and it's caught. Caleb Schmitz for the touchdown.
I think the last 2 years he's had some awesome wide receivers to throw to, Glass, etc. They have a great thing going on at Warwick right now, and I think as with Joey as captain, as the pilot of the offense, man, look at the stuff he's doing. Unbelievable numbers, unbelievable skill and talent out of him with the arm and his vision. #1 passing game in LL history, which is amazing. To already have that as a rising senior is just pretty awesome, and again speaks to his talents and his abilities. And I just love that he encapsulates all of that and can run, pass, read coverages, make plays. He's dynamite.
We've cracked the top 5 in our countdown, but coming up after the break, we unveil who made the top 3 and who's walking away as our #1 quarterback of the last 20 years. We're back on 11 of the last 20, and it's time to dive right into the top 3 quarterbacks on our list. All 3 of these guys were strong leaders on their team and led their squad into at least one District 3 title game. Number 3, Conestoga Valley's Jordan Steffi.
Jordan Steffi might be the trendsetter as far as that dual threat quarterback is concerned. I'd love to see him playing in today's game.
Steffi slips away, and he's going to reach the end zone for a touchdown.
Big, strong, fast, and a rocket for an arm.
4th touchdown pass on the night for Jordan Steffi.
He was one of the first multi-purpose threat kids that I remember covering full-time. Could run and pass, make plays on his feet. He was fantastic when flushed. Pressure did not bother that kid at all. He thrived under that pressure. Huge arm, could scramble and make plays. Multi-purpose, multi-talented kid.
He was the quarterback like a Jeff Smoker, like an Evan Simon. He had all the tools, and of course he went to Maryland, so he had the Division I tools. But had he been in this day and age, he could turn for 3,000 yards.
I'll always remember their games with Manheim Central. That was kind of the peak of their rivalry with Manheim Central back in those days. And I remember him having some big nights against the Barons. I know he had a 7-touchdown night at one point in his career. Obviously, he's one of those kids that commanded presence in the huddle. Everybody looked up to him and his athleticism, and he was one of those true leader kids.
He was athletic.
Saw the opening and took advantage of it.
That was a big rivalry at that time, Conestoga Valley, and they beat us early on in my coaching career, Coach Contafio, and then we kind of turned it around, and I think we won 15 or 16 straight from them, including Jordan Steffi's years. But I tell you what, we were scared every time we played them because we knew what talent he had. I admired him as a high school football player. You know, a lot of times coaches don't really pick out a player that they totally admire. Like I do admire Noah Palm. He would be somebody that I would give a hug to, shake his hand any day of the week. Jordan Steffi was the same way for his personality, his leadership, his skills. And what sticks out most in my mind maybe is not what Jordan did during his football career, but what he did after, what he's doing today. It's hard to find someone a better person than he is today. So he had those characters starting even in high school and through college and now today.
Number 2, Cocalico's Noah Palm.
Palm, open field. Noah Palm being chased. Long run and is in for the touchdown.
You only can shake your head. That guy was Mr. Everything for them.
Noah Palm. What's left not to say about Noah Palm?
Noah Palm might be one of the best two-way players I've ever seen.
Just his passion to be successful. He just works so hard, and you can just tell a kid when he loves the game and that's all he wants to do.
Noah, in terms of being a leader, I think the best attribute that I could say about Noah's leadership is that he brought it every day in practice. Like when your best players, your hardest worker, you're going to have great teams just because they see that their key player is just practicing like every play is his last play. He never, we give them drinks and breaks and stuff, and would always be throwing the ball or catching the ball or punting the ball and catching it himself. He practiced very, very hard, and I think everyone else, while they were taking their breaks and they, like, God, how does this guy, he just doesn't stop, and that's in practice, and he did the same thing in games.
Palm wants to throw it on 3rd down. Looking for Zom, goes up, he's got it, touchdown!
So, Noah's leadership was just in the way. I think he treated everyone. He never wanted any notoriety. He was not he didn't like the press. He didn't like doing interviews. He didn't like any of that stuff. And he just performed and practiced really, really hard.
Palm to put it up. Going downfield, he's got Landers open, he turns and makes the catch. Touchdown.
What a great pass. What a career for him. 4 years, started as a freshman as a safety. His 3 years at quarterback for Cocalico, jaw-dropping.
He just was the consummate player, the typical great high school player that does everything and led his team to victory. And you know, some people would speculate that this past season, without him, Calico might have been 500. I hate to say that because all those people in Denver will be upset with that statement, but as an outsider looking in, he did so much for that team, and I'm sure all the players and the coaching staff at Calico would sort of agree how great of a player he was and what he particularly meant to this year's team.
Noah had so many moments, but the one in the state semifinal when we were down and we were coming back in the second half, and he ran a midline, and the guy had him by the ankle or whatever and ripped the shoe off, and he ran 60 yards with one shoe on it.
Inside the 20, he's in, touchdown!
I didn't realize that he ran 60 yards with one shoe on until, you know, afterwards I'm like, he doesn't have his shoe on. He was just a great teammate, you know, and he shared in all his accolades. He always gave credit to his line, gave credit to the running backs and the receivers, and you know, there was so many, but that one stands out.
Unbelievable career, captain in style, winning districts, 5A player of the year in the state. That kind of says it all. That's where he's at. Simply amazing. Awesome kid, and what a career he had at Calico.
He's the GOAT at Calico. There's no question in my mind. I've been following it since '55 or part of, and he's the greatest player of all time at Calico.
Number 1, Manheim Central's Evan Simon.
All right, Evan Simon.
Seen a lot of Evan Simon. I mean, what can you say? The kid's player of the year.
Simon will run it in.
What a great play.
PA Sports Fever Player of the Year, Mr. PA. Last year, he was first team All-State. I mean, you know, you can see all the statistics on Evan, how many yards he's thrown for. Probably a quarter of those were against us.
Simon again to throw, has time, looking long, he's got a man. It is caught. That is going to be Ben Wagner in for the touchdown, 56 yards.
So I got to see that firsthand, but you know, I think the thing that stood out to me with Evan Simon is he always seemed to have command of what they wanted to do, Manheim.
8,000 plus passing yards is hard to come by, and I've had the privilege of seeing him 4 times in the last 3 years up close and personal. And one of the things that really sticks out is he is just tough as nails. I've seen him take some shots against us and some other schools and just continue to play football. Great arm, great rushing ability, and anybody that's a Division I football player, as he's at Rutgers right now, that says a lot about him as a person, but just a really fierce competitor.
He's going to run, and he's got a lot of room, and he will take it in for the touchdown.
How good was Evan Simon? Well, when you talk about Manheim Central and all their great quarterbacks, and he has, I think, all the records, or at least most of them. I mean, he just throwing and running, and he was great. He was All-State 2 years in a row, and his senior year, he had no help at running back, and he basically did it all on his own. And he played safety, and was one of their leading tacklers. I personally think, of course, he was the greatest quarterback in Manheim Central.
Well, Evan was really the consummate quarterback. He had the size, the speed, and the arm to be that big-time quarterback, which obviously Rutgers and others thought that he would be. And his senior year, he made some great plays. Again, he had all those qualities of that big drop-back type quarterback.
Simon with time, goes downfield, pass is caught, and a touchdown for Colby Wagner.
But he also was a great runner. And his senior year, you know, he was the real player the senior year because he also played defense. And for him to not be able to come to the sideline and talk to Coach Hahn, and he had to be on the field the whole time, and to do what he did this year, breaking almost every record. We've had some great quarterbacks over the years, and he broke almost every record. This past season was really pretty amazing. But he was the guy. I mean, we had one other quarterback. Jeff Smoker, who didn't quite qualify for what we're doing here today. He graduated in '99. He was very much like Jeff, and had the size and the arm and the mentality to be at that top level. So great great season this past year, and he always played well in the big games. You know, our victory over Cocalico, he was huge in that game and made some great plays in that game.
The one play I really remember Evan for was in the district playoff quarterfinals against Warwick this season, when it was in the second half. I think it was a 4th down play where he kept the ball, went around left end, broke a couple tackles, made a spinning play on the sideline, and broke away down the left sideline to score a touchdown.
Evan Simon, touchdown! What a play! Holy mackerel!
I mean, it was just an incredible play that I'll never forget.
He took a team to a state championship game, which is really awesome, and that just speaks volumes about his leadership, not only his athleticism and his talent, but to quarterback a team to 3 section titles in a row, all kinds of success in the district, and to a state championship game. I think that speaks volumes about Evan.
So there you have it, Manheim Central's Evan Simon, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the Lancaster Lebanon League and #1 on our list. Thanks so much for joining us today on 11 of the last 20. I'm Chad Landers. Come back next time as we dive deep into a new sport and start the countdown once again to see who's #1.